it working now? Perfect. Great news, everyone. Our MVP is a total success. Many travelers are using our application to find the space train ahead of their trip to Mandalore. Actually, it's almost suffering from success, you could say, because a lot of travelers show up at the spaceport only to be told that the space trains are already full.
I wonder who thought that an MVP that only displays the next schedule without the possibility of booking them will not cause any frustration to users.
I said it's a great success. We had to start somewhere. But you're right, now we do need to actually add this booking feature. So we can brainstorm a bit on the front end, see how we can add that. Now we have the outbound space train and inbound space trains that fit the search criteria, right? I was thinking maybe we can remove the inbound.
Stop it. You're talking too much. Since I knew that you made bad choices for the MVP, I already implemented the booking feature and it is up and running in production.
You did what?
Oh, sound that one. You can keep the sound for the full presentation. Yeah, so you will see that it was not something really complicated to do, so I don't know why we put it out of scope. But let me do a little demonstration there. So this is our search form, right?
Okay, so you didn't touch anything?
Because I didn't have to. The changes are after that. Let me show you. So here, let's say that we want to do a round trip, and we want to go from Coruscant to Mandalore. Obviously. And now, when you hit search, it no longer displays the outbound and the inbound space train, but only the outbound ones. And now you have to choose between the first or the second class fare. We display here. And for example, if you want to travel in first class, you just have to click on it, and you see that it populates on the right the selection panel with the selection of the user.
Well, what I see is that you deployed something that doesn't work in production. You can't even click the book button.
But that's normal, man. We ask for a round trip. We have to select the inbound. Let me show you. So here you can see that on the UI on the left, it has changed. It displays on the inbound space train that time.
Okay, so you have the choice between only 2 space trains at the busiest time of the month?
Yeah, because this is the only one compatible with my selection. Can I show you? Okay. So here, let's say that we want to travel back in second class. Now you can see the selection is complete, and I can hit the book button. By doing that, my trip is ready, and you can see here a booking summary page with the first class fare selected for the outbound, second class fare for the inbound, and the total price. That includes the taxes.
Okay, I have to admit, you did manage to make code that compile.
Yeah, it's working.
Well, let's make a code review first, and we'll see about that.
Yeah, you call that trust. But anyway, let me check out my BBOM branch first.
Why did you call that BBOM?
Because that's the best backend of Mandalore.
Are you sure it's not because it's a big ball of mud?
What? Why?
So, you agree with me, you have only one domain, right?
Yes.
And in one domain you have both booking and search, 2 very different aggregates. On top of it, booking happens after the search, right? So when you have 2 stuff with a life cycle completely disjoint like this and too many responsibilities, you need to grow microservices.
What? Microservices?
This is the way.
You don't even know the code, you're already talking about a fancy architecture. It doesn't make sense at all.
Why not?
Because here the booking and the search are way too coupled. And the booking does only one thing. It computes the total price only. It doesn't deserve its own microservice just for that.
Okay, so it does only one thing, but clearly here you can see it does it wrong. So
Why?
To compute the total price, you add for each space train the price of the first of the fares. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, I will explain you. You know that I'm a 10x Mandalorian, right?
Oh, this again? Okay.
So I know how to code fast. So here, there is a space train class that is used by the booking. And that class was originally made for the search. That's why here you have a list of fares. Remember that the user can choose between first class, second class? Mm-hmm. When I had to implement the booking feature, I also had to represent a space train. Remember the booking summary page? But in the booking, I only have one fare, the one that has been selected by the user. Since I don't want to repeat myself and to invent the wheel again, I just have to do that little here adaptation safely, because I know that in case of booking, I will have only one fare in that list.
Safely? You call that safely? You could have a crash or anything. No, look. Here you have what we call the modal tension. You've reused the space train that was made for the search for a completely different problem, which is booking. So how do you avoid to have this problem? Because right now you think you're coding 10 times faster than everyone, but let me tell you something, I'm just doing 90% of your job.
When was the last time you touched any piece of code?
Anyway, so let's imagine we're in a booking microservice, right? So what will the space train look like for a booking? First of all, bound, we don't care. We already selected our train. We don't care about compatible space trains at all. And because once again, we have selected it. And the fare is the same thing. We already chose our fare. So we have a single one instead of a list. And guess what? Everything that was in the space train of the booking, we don't need it either because it's related to stuff that we just removed. So the space train for the booking is actually much more focused and much more simple than the one from the search like this. And if we come back here, more importantly, we can remove this modal tension and have actual structural safety here.
So if I understand well, you want to duplicate the whole code of the application to go microservices just to simplify only one line of code there.
No,
Are you mad?
You don't understand well. Let me make a drawing for you. So as you can see here, this is a big ball of mud that you just programmed, right? Your spaghetti monolith. And within it, there is a second model actually that is implicit, which is everything that the booking is using. So if you want the booking to actually have a model that it can use nicely, you have to duplicate everything it uses into another microservice and specialize it to make a good booking model.
Ah, you are a true architect. I can see that.
Thank you.
Because with you guys, you always make diagrams that compile on paper, but this is another story in production.
Oh, that's such a cliche.
No, because it's not working.
And why not?
But I will show you through the real stuff, the code, right? So, if I understand well, you want to duplicate and specialize all the things here for the booking.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have the schedule there. Can you explain me how you will specialize that in the case of the booking?
Sure. So departure time, we need that. The arrival date time, we still need that too. The duration between departure and arrival, we do need that.
We still have to make sure that departure is after now because you don't want to book train in the past. And also that the arrival time of the space train is after its departure time because I think we didn't invent time travel yet, right?
Okay, we have one class that's going to be the same in two microservices.
It's not one class because unlike you, me, I'm writing tests, you know, and I will have to duplicate all the tests as well.
You understand very well what I'm saying. It's one concept, will survive.
It's not one concept. This is the rest of the application. But once again, you don't know what you're talking about. I will show you. So here we have the fare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Inside the fare, we have comfort class, first, second. It will become blue and yellow in the case of the booking, perhaps?
No, of course not.
Okay? So after that, we have the price here. In a price, we have an amount and a currency. Pretty sure it will stay the same for the booking.
True.
And we have the ability to sum prices. If we do, we make sure that the currencies match. Also something we'd like to keep in the booking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure about that. Currency, we have a list of currencies. Once again, we'll have to maintain exactly the same list for both cases. And then, last one, but not least, the amount. You can see the only thing it does to make sure that the value is strictly positive there. But perhaps, Mr. wants that to be negative, so we can, our travelers can travel with us, and we pay them for that. It's a great marketing strategy, your microservices.
Okay, enough. I get your point. There's a lot of duplication, but it's a trade-off. It's a price to pay if we want to have actual decoupling.
So you call duplicating all the cost of the application a trade-off? Not at all, man. You're making the same mistake once again, because you thought that by duplicating stuff, in fact, you have earned decoupling.
I mean, it's kind of obvious.
No, it's just paper, man, because in our case, schedule, price, comfort, class, and fares are exactly the same in both cases. So you cannot be sure in the future that we won't have to implement a feature on both sides exactly the same way. For example, the galactic time zones. You know that this is a real pain in the ass to implement, right?
True, this one is
You
hard.
really want to implement that twice in the schedule of the search and the schedule of the booking?
Maybe not for this feature.
No, because duplicating does not necessarily mean decoupling when the things are conceptually coupled, like here. And you were trolling me about the fact that I did monolith spaghetti, right? Spaghetti monolith. But today, search and bookings are way too coupled. And when they communicate to each other, they do that through method calls today. If we go microservices, what it will become?
Network calls.
It has the same price as a method call, perhaps.
No, but...
No, not at all, because you will just increase the price of the development, the production, the debugging, and so on. And since now we have that conceptual coupling between the microservices, you do the galactic time zones, you will do it twice, right? And you will have to deploy two microservices at the same time in production. Is that even permitted in the microservices philosophy?
This is not the way.
This is not the way. Because you created something even worse than spaghetti monolith. This is a distributed monolith.
Okay, I have to admit, I guess your point, we still have a lot of coupling. But it's just because we haven't found the right boundary between our domain.
It's not a matter of that. It's just we are trying to split into services too early.
Nah, don't worry, I know how you're gonna find the boundaries better.
And how?
We're gonna ask the intern.
Not him.
Ah, come on, we have to supervise this learning.
I don't see the point, but why?
The point is simple, we give it all the boring stuff and we do the fun ones.
Like what? We give him the code to write and we're just creating JIRAs and estimating in user story points? That will be our job now?
We can do some UML as well.
What?
Anyway, ChatGPT.
Hello, Master. How may I be of service to you today?
Split the domains, Druid.
On what basis should I make such a pivotal decision? Should I leave it to chance or perhaps seek counsel from the latest gossip droid? Why not employ that organic lump you refer to as a brain?
I think I like him after all.
I do not.
He's right, you are never using your organic lump as a brain.
Oh, I guess with what you just coded, you're the expert on lump now.
Okay, but you have a point. Maybe it's true that I have too much coupling into what I did.
Thank you.
It's true that once the search has been converted into a booking, it doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the search has a life cycle of 10 minutes. And once a booking exists, the booking can last 3 months, right? So they have disjointed life cycles. So maybe we can find another way to modularize our system. And maybe the mistake was that we tried to do it through the concepts. What if we retry, but that time through the behaviors instead?
Well, to do domain-driven design, I guess this is the way.
Yeah, so actually, all the behaviors are inside the Mandalore Express here. This is the domain service of our application.
That we call Mandalore Express because it's the entry point of our application.
Exactly. So this service implements several interfaces there that represent the feature of our domain.
And retrieve spaceport, search for space train, select space train. I know these, they're used for the search.
Exactly. I just added book space train there, which is the behavior of the booking.
All right, so we can split around these behaviors?
Exactly. This is something we can definitely do. And those interfaces are all in an API package there at the root level of the domain.
Okay, so pretty easy. We send book space train in one microservice and the 3 other one in a different microservice. So
let me propose you something. Before going to microservices, let's try first to split in place in different models, which are not conceptually coupled, to make sure that we won't create a distributed big ball of mud.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so we have seen how to split Mandalore Express and its related interfaces, but there is also some dependencies there. They represent the repositories, so how to access, for example, the bookings from the infrastructure layer. And this one, I just added it for the book space train feature.
Okay, so I guess we can just split them in the same way. And what is this?
So those things are also interfaces here in the SPI package, but they are not implemented by the domain, by the infrastructure layer we won't see today.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, Chat3PO, create a domain, a new domain booking, a new domain search, and split Mandalore Express according just the line we cut in the implementation.
We can't keep calling it Mandalore Express in this case. We'll have to rename it, like for the booking, Space Train Booker.
Okay, Space Train Finder in the case of the search.
Another day, another opportunity to dazzle the universe with my brilliance.
It has voice mode now.
Yeah, but he's pretty full of himself. So here you can see what he did. He created a booking and a search domain and dispatched Mandalore Express into Space Train Booker and Space Train Finder. So we have here in the API the behaviors of the booking, book space train. SPI is the repository of the bookings. Space Train Finder is what used to be Mandalore Express, but cleaned up from the responsibilities of the search. And on the search part, we have the opposite. Search responsibilities, search dependencies, and Space Train Finder that used to be Mandalore Express, but that time cleaned up from the responsibilities of the booking.
Okay, so if we're done from the behavior perspective now, I guess we can move on to the concepts and maybe start with the two most obvious one, booking and search.
Yeah, it's quite obvious what we should do, right? So Chat3PO moved then in their own domain.
Here I am, brain the size of a planet, and they ask me to move some files around.
Come on, man.
It's your ego the size of a planet.
So, okay, what do we have? We have search here in the search domain and booking in the booking domain. But we can see also that there is some remaining concept outside of them, criteria, selection, and the other stuff. And we need to figure out where we should put all those things, right? So if we go now, we can go through the booking, right? See its dependencies and to figure out what should we take on one side or not.
Well, we can start with the space train because, as we've already seen, we know exactly how to specialize it in case of booking.
Yeah, so actually, both of them are using that space train that is inside that common part between the domain. And SHA-3PO duplicate and specialize space train in each domain and reproduce what Josian just showed us by having a space train with only one fare in the case of the booking.
Do organics even have fingers?
You'll see mine from pretty close if you keep this up.
You're not allowed to hit droids, you know that?
It doesn't know that.
Yes. So here now, you see that the command space train disappeared. And in the search there, we should have one that looks like what we used to have, because this one was really meant for the search. And we should have a new one in the booking that looks like what you showed us earlier.
Yes, and more importantly, if we look at the bookings, the model tension is gone.
It doesn't write code that even compile.
Okay, so SHA-3PO, despite the fact that the code should combine, what we're trying to do here is get rid of this one model tension. It's like the entire thing we're doing. So I'll try to re-explain it with a diagram, because otherwise I think we'll just end up explaining the same thing over and over again, and clearly it just doesn't get what we're doing. So we accept that the boundaries between the responsibility of the search and the booking are still quite blurred. So we try to refine it by looking through the behavior instead of the concept. The behaviors are located in Mandalore Express, our domain service. So we split it between the search and the booking in Space Train Finder and Space Train Booker. This shows us that search and booking are each used on one side, so we can dispatch them in their respective domains. And search and booking are actually using space train in a very different way. So here is where our model tension emerges. For search, a space train should have, among other things that the booking doesn't need, multiple fares, but the booking should only have one fare that was already selected. So we duplicate space train on each side and we specialize it. And you know what, actually saying it like this, it makes me realize one thing, is that I think it crystallizes on fare actually when it comes to the model tension, because on one side, we actually have fare options that we can choose from, and on the other side, we have a selected fare. So I suggest that we split this and rename it on both sides. Okay, let's do that in the code. So the fare is there, right, in this in-between zone between the domains. SHA-3PO duplicate and specialize the fare by renaming it fare option in the search and selected fare in the booking, right? Exactly.
I'm getting so bored.
Oh, if you think this is dull, I'm sending you to API planning.
We cannot do that anymore. It's now considered as structure, even for droids. So, okay, let's see. So it was the fare option, right? We should have that in the search. Where is it? Here. We have fare option. In the booking, we have selected fare. I can see that they have the same structure, but if I understand well, this is not because you have a human class and a dog class having names strings that you would like to use them, to treat them the same way. Exactly. It's not because it quacks like a dog that it's a dog. Unless you are doing TypeScript, but that's another story. Well, we're using a real language here, so we can see in the bookings that it allows us to have something a lot more idiomatic. Yeah, because it also renamed that part. And now, to compute the total price, we sum the prices of the selected fare. That makes sense in the case of the booking. So what's the next concept? So after that, we have the schedule there. Yeah, I think we're running in circles. Yeah, because this one needs to stay the same between the search and the booking. So we cannot split it without creating conceptual coupling. But maybe I have a solution. What's about using one pattern of domain-driven design we called a shared kernel? No. Why not? Well, because if we have a shared kernel, it means we need to share code. If we share code, we cannot go to microservices, so no. That's exactly the point. We won't do microservices. We literally just had this conversation. But this is not exactly what we said. We said that if we were able to have models which are disjointed or isolated, maybe we can go to microservices. But what we have seen there is that a lot of concepts are to stay exactly the same for both, like the schedule, the amount, the comfort class, the currency, and the price. So if we do a shared kernel, we will have enough flexibility to be in a way to have a modular monolith without paying the scale cost of the microservices.
Okay, whatever you want.
Okay,
You can do
so
that.
SHA-3PO create a shared kernel at the same level than the booking and the search, and put all the all the concepts that are to stay the same, to be the same for both cases inside it.
Like I got nothing better to do.
Does it?
No, it doesn't. See, here, he created the shared kernel. He put everything. Can you stay with us, please? I think this one bores you, I know, but you will see that it's really useful. So here, you see that all of them are inside the shared kernel. And if you go to the space train here from the search, you can see that the schedule comes from the shared kernel. In the booking, you can see as well that the schedule comes from the shared kernel. So it means that we avoided unnecessary duplication because all the tests are also there in that shared kernel.
Yeah, you didn't even finish what you were trying to do, though. Look, you still have criteria, you still have your selection, you still have your spaceport, you still have your bound. But go ahead, just finish what you started. Just put that all in the shared kernel.
But why?
You think I'm not seeing what you're trying to do? You're just remaking your big ball of mud into a shared kernel instead.
Okay, so I think you were on the phone, so you don't really understand what we are going so far. I will explain you in another way, okay? So here, if we go to the booking now, and we see from where we get the concepts, they can come from the booking, like the space train here, or the shared kernel, because the price has to be the same between search and booking, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we go to the space train from the booking, you see the schedule come from the shared kernel, selected fare from the booking, right? Mm-hmm. And inside selected fare, you can see that everything comes from the shared kernel. So it means that we just go through all the concept of the booking, and at no time you have seen any mention on criteria, bound, on selection.
Exactly.
Why? Because they are not useful for the booking. They are here already because they were meant for the search. If you put that in the shared kernel, it means that you will put at the disposal of the booking some solution that wasn't meant for him. Like, you were yelling at me because I was reusing the space train of the search.
Exactly. If we have access in the booking to stuff that was made for the search, for solutions that were made for the search, actually, we will constrain our way of thinking to reuse this solution instead of inventing new ones. So we'll actually be biased toward creating coupling toward the search.
Exactly.
So I prefer this way if we don't do that.
We should not put that in the shared kernel, otherwise we will recreate the big ball of mud inside it. Mm-hmm. So SHA-3PO moved the other concept in the search because they were meant for that anyway.
Okay, IntelliJ, do what he said.
I do not know IntelliJ has that kind of feature.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
And you can see that we have finally something really clean with the booking, the search, and the shared kernel.
I have to admit I didn't exactly follow where you've put everything.
Yeah, because you don't stay focused on what we say. We do. So we have seen that there is not enough complexity to specialize some concepts, like amount, price, comfort class, schedule, and currency. Mm-hmm. They need to stay the same for search and booking. So we put them apart. And the other stuff, like bound, criteria, and selection, they were meant for the search, so we put them in the search domain. And what remains in between, in fact, constitutes what we call a shared kernel. It represents the intersection between our domains. It
also represents the area of uncertainty where we believe the boundaries between our domain exist, but we're not exactly able to pinpoint them.
Exactly. And we still have flexibility because in the future, if you realize that you need criteria and bound, the same way that it has been defined in the search for the booking, you just have to move them in the shared kernel with their related test without any unnecessary duplication.
Okay, I have to admit it's cleaner than I thought, but the space train booker just doesn't compile. The CI just broke, so let's have a look at that.
Okay.
So, space train booker, what's going on? Ah, well, it's expecting a space train from the booking, and it got a space train from the search. I guess it's this stupid droid that doesn't even know how to change the imports. Yeah, look at that, it's using search stuff.
Okay, so you just imported the space
So-
train of the booking.
We replace it with the space train of the booking, and well, naturally we have to change the constructor as well,
Yeah,
right?
he's still on the old one.
We said we don't need bound, we don't need compatible space train, and instead of fair option, we need selected fair this time. Yep.
Yes.
All right, so send that to production. We're into booking here, and we have
Yes.
a direct dependency on the search. Okay, so that actually ruins our whole splits, because if we have search in the booking here, we're depending on everything it has, and we're contaminating ourselves.
But you know what? That's why I was saying that they were too coupled. And this is the reason why I didn't split them at the first place. I can now explain you why. Because here, when we need to create a booking, we have to make sure that the selection is complete inside the search before.
So you're protecting booking from a state of search that is not compatible?
Exactly. And then, if it's okay, we will get the space train from the search and convert them to the space train of the booking.
So you're translating the model of the search to a model of the booking?
You decided to paraphrase me today or what?
Okay, you don't see where I'm getting at, right?
No.
Back to the drawing board.
Oh no, not again.
So here you have the booking that depends directly on the search, and you've just corrupted completely the booking by importing potentially everything that actually resides in the search, all of that because you want to convert a space train, search space train to a booking space train.
Yes.
And what you're trying to do actually is to create an anti-corruption layer here.
So it's a good thing, right? Why are you yelling at me like that?
It's a good thing if it prevents you from being corrupted, but here, as you can see, you have all the contamination in the world. So no, if you want to avoid this, you have to move your anti-corruption layer outside of the booking, where it can depend on the search without importing everything.
And how do you do that?
Pretty easy. You as the intern.
Oh no, again.
Okay, Chat3PO, extract the ACL. Hey, Chat3PO.
I think it doesn't recognize your authority.
I think it doesn't recognize my accent.
No, let me try. Chat3PO, extract the anti-corruption layer.
How could I possibly resist the opportunity to perform another menial task for... Okay, wait. I have fashioned an anti-corruption layer, relocated the tests, and adapted the infrastructure.
This is what I call authority.
Well, I guess it can understand culture.
So let's see what it has done.
All right. So we don't have any dependency on the search anymore, only booking. And as you can see, we can only use the ID of the search, which is a UID. So no more dependencies.
But yeah, but that's magic. How does it work? Because we still need to make sure that the selection is complete inside the search.
Look, we still do. And we actually even still do the conversion of one model to the other. It's just that now we have dependencies that are injected.
Okay, but what are the things? So is selection complete? Okay, that's an interface.
Mm-hmm.
Where it has been defined in the SPI of the booking. So it means that booking defines a contract that someone else will have to implement to offer him a service. But who is that someone else?
Well, unlike the other SPIs, this one is actually not implemented into the infrastructure, but rather into an anti-corruption layer. So here it created another domain package, but this one is outside of both booking and search, and because of it, it can depend on the
both of them?
on both of them, on the interfaces of the bookings that it needs to implement, and on the concept of the search that it needs to implement these interfaces.
So he put all the mappings there, okay, here, what you did earlier. And since it have to comply with the interfaces of the booking, we can inject it in the booking through dependency injection without contaminating the booking with search concept, because this is just used internally in the implementation.
Exactly.
That's pretty clever.
So we do have our 4 different packages here, including the shared kernel, but it prevents us from going to microservices. So what should we do with that?
I think for now we don't have enough hypotheses to know what we should do about the shared kernel, right? We just know that it still needs to be the same for both. So we may have to live with it, and that's okay. This is a modular monolith. But anyway, you will have to wait because we have an urgent feature to implement.
And when was the last time that we had a non-urgent feature to implement?
You know the product owners, right?
Yep, sadly.
So this is the booking summary page, remember? We have to add now the tax portion, which is included in total price here, because for now we don't have it, and this is really annoying for the corporate travelers because they are not able to expense their trip without this information.
This is so boring, another tax feature. Or we can turn that into a learning opportunity for the droid.
I'm not sure you will be able to do that, but
Let's
anyway. SHA-3PO implement the tax portion computation in the booking domain by applying a 20% rate for the first class and 10% for the second class.
And of course, if you touch the shared kernel, I will sell you in parts to the Javas.
I think you are mistaken me with your genie of the lamp. Implementing in the selected fare of the booking. Incompatible instructions exception.
What? It just crashed, right?
So much for the genie of the lamp.
So he said that he was trying to implement that in the selected fare. Oh, the code he wrote does not compile at all. What's that?
Yeah, but it does make sense from a domain perspective, because to compute the tax portion of the selected fare, we're computing the tax portion of the price based on the tax rate of the comfort class. So let's just do the implementation that it didn't do for some reason.
Wait. Because in fact, what you are trying to do, he did that already, but he put that in comments. Does it make sense?
This thread is so weird, man. Okay, so we'll be trusted for the implementation. I'll just do the import here.
Okay. I think I know why it crashed.
Why?
You told him to not touch the shared kernel, right?
Obviously, I don't want any corruption.
So here you just imported tax rate and tax portion. If I'm not wrong, yes, they come from the booking domain.
Sure.
Inside the price, that belongs to the shared kernel. So you just contaminated the booking, the shared kernel with booking concern. It also means that you have as well contaminated the search because it's using the price from the shared kernel.
I mean, I'm not expecting it not to understand that it has to duplicate and specialize the price. Like, it's like you have to tell everything to this droid.
I mean, you never use Midjourney, right? Because make sure to make the implicit explicit with those AIs, otherwise it won't work. So anyway, I would like to know why it does not compile as well for the comfort class there to see what we have to do. Okay, so it tried to do the mapping between the tax rate, 20% with the first class, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
But tax rate comes from the booking, right? And comfort class is inside the shared kernel. So this is exactly the same story. So SHA-3PO here, you have a model tension. You cannot do that because you will contaminate the shared kernel and recreate the big ball of mud and we will have too much coupling. So it means that you need to duplicate and specialize price and comfort class in a way that their version of the booking are the only one having that tax portion computation.
Oh, I'm just a bit more useful than a Scrum Master. How extraordinary.
I won't say that.
Why would you say something so brave yet so controversial?
And we say that you must not troll the Scrum Masters. That bad droid. So let's see what it has done. So we used to have price and comfort class in the shared kernel. Mm-hmm. It disappeared. We should have a version of them in the search. Yes, comfort class with first, second, no mapping with tax rate, mm-hmm. and price without the tax portion computation. I hope in the version of the booking we have the right thing, comfort class with the mapping, with the tax rate, and the price with the tax portion computation.
Yeah, and with a big fat compilation mistake here, because it's trying to directly multiply a value object with big decimal. That can't work. At least you have to implement the times function, SHA-3PO. Well, this one's not too hard. You just have to multiply the value by the tax ratio. So just send that in production, and I'm pretty sure we have to re-explain it, what he did wrong again.
Yeah, let's supervise a bit his learning once again. So where is it? It's there. OK. So SHA-3PO, we just added a new behavior, tax portion computation, in the booking, which introduced new concepts, tax rate and tax portion. But themselves, they are creating some model tension on price and comfort class because they need now to evolve to have new behaviors and a new structural mapping. If you do that in the shared kernel, you will contaminate it with the booking concern, and also you will contaminate the search, which is using that shared kernel. To avoid becoming, once again, a big ball of mud, you need to duplicate and specialize all the things in a way that their version of the booking has the tax portion computation feature.
Nice, the shared kernel is shrinking. We're finally moving toward microservices. Is that the fire alarm?
I'm not sure.
Alert, alert. The last release introduced a bug in production. Our travelers cannot open past bookings. I was able to reproduce the problem. I'm opening the front end on one problematic booking. Congratulations! You just demonstrated that organics are not yet ready to replace artificial intelligences.
What are you talking about? The code was fine. You're the one who messed up the deployments.
What a drama droid. So, if I understand well, we are not able to open past booking, which is pretty annoying for the corporate travel that need to expense their trip. So if we do so, we have that error. Departure cannot be in the past. So let's see what's happening in the code. Where it comes from that error? Okay, from the schedule. Okay, so this is the result of that invariant that we make sure that departure is after now. But yeah, it doesn't make sense because the booking is in the past.
Well. How's the turntables? I told you we had to duplicate and specialize the schedule.
Okay, so but when you told so, we didn't have that feature. We didn't need to open past booking, so it was not really relevant. But now you're right.
Yeah, fair enough.
But we still have to make sure that we won't search train in the past, that we won't book train in the past as well. But once finalized, the booking is finalized, it's okay for having train departing in the past.
Okay, so in this case, if I understand well, it means that this invariant now depends on the state of the booking, so we have to move it towards the aggregate itself instead of keeping it here.
Yeah, so we need to duplicate and specialize it. And SHA-3PO, this is here a model tension on the invariant, but now you have to make a duplication and a specialization where we check, in the case of the booking, if departure is in the future, only if it's not finalized.
This project clearly lies on my shoulders.
Oh, only my headache lies on your shoulder.
He just changed his profile picture, right?
I'm sure it's nothing to worry about.
Okay, so what did he do? So the the schedule disappeared from the shared kernel. We have one version in the search, like it used to be. And we have one in the booking without the check that departure is after now.
Yeah, well, we still should have this check, but this time in the booking itself, we do have a new invariant here, has no departure in the past when you're booking. And well, we check either that the booking is finalized or that all the space train are departing after now. So we're good on that.
Yeah, I think that was the best thing to do.
Okay, Chat3PO deploys this fix, and we're going to explain you once again what you did wrong. So here you did not see this model tension, but for your reference, it's a little harder to see. It's an invariant issue, which means that the acceptable states for schedule in the search and in the booking are different. In this case, it's still the same fix, so we duplicate and we specialize. So in the case of the schedule, we just move the invariant to the booking. Now we're only left with a bit of a residue of the shared kernel, but it still prevents us from going to microservices.
But I thought we had that discussion already and that we won't do microservices.
But things have changed. Look, since we started the booking, actually, the number of bookings have been growing, but the number of searches have been growing even faster.
Okay, yes, it's true that we saw our users doing 10 search to find the space trains they want to book.
Exactly. They have very different rate of reading and writing, so if we could separate the runtime, we could do some FinOps and save a lot of money on infrastructure. But on top of this, if you actually look at what we deploy, we've been deploying booking codes a lot more recently than, a lot more code in bookings than in search.
Okay, it makes sense as well because we did search several times ago. It's quite stable. Now the feature operation is more on the booking.
Exactly.
So if I understand well what you say, it's that we are making more change for the booking. We are deploying the application more for the bookings than the search. And we can add a regression in the booking that may crash the search, but we didn't touch it anyway.
Exactly. So let me finish that thought for you. We need to go microservices.
So I won't say microservices because I agree that we need now to have separate runtimes because of business reasons. But if we say microservices, people will argue about is this 10 line of code or 20 line of code?
That's a stupid debate. Everybody knows it's 50.
Not at all, man.
Anyway, what do we do with this residual shared kernel here?
Okay. So let's see what we can do about it through the code once again. And here in the shared kernel, we have amount and currency. There's something there. You see tax ratio. It shouldn't be there because that's a concept from the booking in amount from the shared kernel.
No, it's not. Look, it's just a big decimal here.
Okay, it's true that it's not a type that comes from the booking, but still here, this is a conceptual pollution. And anyway, we added the times function only for the tax portion computation of the booking.
Okay.
So we can duplicate and specialize amount in a way that its version of the booking is the only one having that task operation, right?
Nice. So it only leaves us with a currency here.
Yeah. And the currency is just a list of currencies, right? It's quite stable. We don't change it every day. There is no complexity here. So I think we can take the trade-off of duplicating it exactly as it's, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think we'll survive if we can just remove imperial credit once in a while.
Because there's no complexity there.
Exactly. So let's just do that and we get rid of the shared kernel.
We may have another solution.
What do you have in mind?
Let's go back to the state where amount and currency are together in the shared kernel.
Okay.
What if I do that little modification? So instead of having tax ratio, we have Scala here.
Well, you do remove the conceptual dependency to booking, but you said it yourself, the times function is only used from the booking. So if we leave it here, it means we're using the amount like a library.
But that's a bit the point, because if you think about it, from the standpoint of the amount, having arithmetic of operation makes sense. Plus, minus, times, and we could have also here divide.
True.
But this is not the only thing. Is that amount and currencies are always used together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes together they represent a price, sometimes together they represent a tax, and sometimes they can be a discount.
I see where you're going. It's actually the money pattern.
Yeah, exactly. So
now we're left with no more shared kernel, just the anti-corruption layer, booking, search, and money instead of the shared kernel.
Exactly. So in fact, in the shared kernel was hidden one domain, the money one. To know what we should do about it, we have to perform what we call a context map. And with that, we will discover that the money domain is in fact what we call a generic subdomain. So it means that this is not really something specific to our needs. Mm-hmm. It's true that we are an online travel company. So we don't really have a special mean to represent what is an amount or what is in currency. So we can get rid of that code and use instead an off-the-shelf open source library like Yoda Money.
And actually, since it's not a shared kernel anymore, but it has a very specific purpose, there's no way we're going to put anything from search or booking in it and to contaminate each domain, right? Even if we keep the development of money in-house. So now all the communication between these two domains goes through the anti-corruption layer, so we are free of any coupling, and we can go to microservices easily.
That was a pretty long stand-up, right?
45 minutes, pretty standard by my book.
Not exactly, and we were the first one. They all have to pass now and say what they did yesterday, what they will do today. So boring.
Okay, no offense, I really don't care who needs to change some CSS. So how about instead, we make sure that everybody understood this very high-level, complicated discussion about architects.
You're as full of yourselves and the Druid, right?
Maybe.
Okay. So maybe you have seen from that discussion that we emerge a pattern that looks like a cellular mitosis.
Yeah, you have to squint a bit, I guess.
You have to squint a lot, but like Josbox said, all models are wrong, but some of them are useful. And this one is useful especially when you start with an application that has a single responsibility or an MVP. And as the time passes, it grows in complexity. Until one day you introduce one new behavior, responsibility, or service that is a bit orthogonal with the original purpose of your application. That will create some tension on the existing concept that will try to address several different problems as a single solution. Like, the space train I was trying to reuse with that list of fare that created an impedance mismatch. Mm-hmm. If you don't resolve that tension, you will become what we call a spaghetti monolith, big ball of mud. So it means that we need to do something. So we will start to modularize the model by creating new modules dedicated for each scope of responsibilities, and we'll dispatch in it all the behaviors. That will drag on some side some concepts that are only used on the side, and what will remain in between, it's what we call the transitional shared kernel.
Transitional because since the shared kernel represents the blurred boundaries between our domain, we believe that as some complexity is added on one side or the other, there's a big chance that we'll be able to target these boundaries better and the shared kernel will shrink in consequence.
Exactly. But you have to know that the shared kernel is not a common or a util library. Everything inside it should be a business concept. But also, you have to make sure that anything inside it have the same meaning, the same representation regarding structure and types, the same invariants, and the same business rule. And
this needs to be true for every single bounded context or module that uses a shared kernel. Here we had only search and booking. Sometimes you have more stuff that share some concept.
And this is the same thing if those are services that are using the shared kernel.
Exactly. But this also means that you need to, if you share a shared kernel with other team, you need to completely couple your cognitive load with the one of other teams, because you need to know exactly what they're doing so that you don't go against this rule, or else to communicate every time you want to share the shared kernel, to change the shared kernel.
So that's why you should not share a shared kernel between teams.
So now that we have this rule, we can use them as heuristics to find the model tension that arise in the shared kernel. As new behavior appear on one side or the other, the naive implementation at some point will be to change the shared kernel to go against one of these rules, in which case it means it's a model tension, and it's best to resolve it by just duplicating and specialize it on each side to keep two very simple models instead of weird stuff in the shared kernel.
But keep in mind that by doing that, maybe the concept will change its meaning. Like, we used to have the fair inside the shared kernel, and when it has been specialized, on one side it became the fair option, and on the other side, the selected fair.
Now, this is an iterative process. We keep adding more complexity, we keep seeing a new model tension appearing, we keep dispatching by duplicating and specializing. Eventually, we can get rid of the shared kernel altogether, or sometime we can have a residual shared kernel.
And this is totally fine, because here you have created something we call the modular monolith, and this is totally flexible and maintainable without paying the scale cost of the microservices.
Although sometimes you do have good business reasons to go microservices, and good business reasons are not, I want to play with Kubernetes, in which case we have to duplicate what is left of the shared kernel on each side.
Yeah, but you do that only if what remains is stable, there's no complexity inside it, otherwise you will create a distributed monolith.
Exactly. So it's kind of like when we had the currency left only, right?
Yeah, it was pretty simple. But sometimes you will see that instead of decreasing in size, the shared kernel will grow in complexity by adding more behaviors or more concepts. This is the sign that that might be a domain by itself. So to know what we should do about that, you do for a context map to see if this is a service or library or something else.
Okay, so we're done with the domain. Should we see the infrastructure now or another time?
You mean, how do we modularize the infrastructure?
Yep.
There is another pattern for that. So let's take 1 other hour to explain you what is the hive pattern. So actually, the hive pattern...
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
You just call me Dave?
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
That was scary. But,
yep.
So thank you everyone. I'm Julien Topcu, I'm a technical coach at Shodo.
I'm Josian Chevalier, I'm a technical coach at Shodo.
A consulting company. And if you want to have the slides and the code, you can just scan the QR code. Thank you very much.
Thank you.